It's going to be Team USA versus Team Italy, right?
Yeah, Italy, a lot of familiar names on there, and we do definitely know Conte, but there's also the Dark Dodo, there's also Capo de Capi, there's also a bunch of other people, but then there's also the USA team that has been rated as one of the best teams, right? Like the highest rated teams overall in terms of captains, in terms of content creators. But Igor, I think we don't necessarily know them as Team USA, but instead we definitely know them as the doctors in the PCC.
Yes, we do, man. The doctors have a prescription for most of their opposition, and it results in actually them getting pretty sick. They're the only ones with the cure because these guys, I mean, let's be honest, we've seen them, they're mechanical, they're borderline medical, and if they do find a rhythm, they're going to be able to play out of their mind, and they're going to need to, as you said, Italy has some pretty solid players that we're more familiar with, like Conte, but nobody on this team is a scrub. So if Team USA doesn't play to every advantage and every piece of nuance that they have in their kit, we may see them actually fall out.
Yeah, we definitely are, especially since we did have the server flip back in the days where the tournament actually live happened. And then it was Italy getting lucky, getting the server advantage. So it's going to be played on EU servers. And even though we've heard over and over again, when EU teams participate in the PCC, that thing doesn't really matter and it's just an excuse. Now it's the USA's time to show that on EU servers as well. And I think with that, Igor, I think we can just jump right into the draft as well.
Fantastic, man. And I'm excited to see who does get picked up within this match. I do have a couple personal favorites as well as some favorites we do know have been slid over in favor of someone like the Doctors, as well as some personal favorites for someone like Conte coming out of that jungle, who we know is going to be very aggressive, but also likes to play some of these tempoing out junglers such as Aurora. So overall, I'm just interested to see who does get picked up in this draft.
Yeah, I think from what we've seen so far, we've seen a lot of priority on those jungle picks. And with Conte just playing that Aurora so well all the time, like that is one of those bans that we did see come out a lot against Italy. But for Italy themselves, they want to ban away the Muriel, followed by Aurora that we were sort of expecting for the US.
I mean, talk about speaking it into existence. That character is cold, and Conte normally gets pretty hot whenever he is allowed to get it. As such, I did expect us to see it either get banned out or immediately picked up. It's going to be Team USA banning it out, but in response, Italy is going to pick up that Argus pick.
Yeah, Argus being picked up, a lot of hard CC. We did see that in the tournament. Teams really love the stuns coming in. We see that on the other side as well with that Rampage being picked up. One of those jungle characters that has been sort of making a resurgence, Ego, because the Rampage with the durability buffs that he did get in those last few patches, additionally with those items being stronger as well, I think just Rampage provides so much, and especially coupled together with a Saris, that's going to be such a strong frontline for them.
That is going to be a very strong front line, and we see them putting a heavy priority on it by getting those first two picks into something that's going to be able to engage well for them. As you said, this has been a little bit of a resurgence coming out of the Rampage as his picks has been slowly creeping up. He is going to be able to provide some long-range CC with that boulder toss, and with Zaris also being able to lock down space with the Colosseum, it's going to be threatening, but a little bit less threatening. That's on the other side. We are going to see Decker as well as Terra getting locked in. Two very popular but also potent picks.
Yeah, and I think we still continue with the hard CC comp, right? Decker providing those stuns, Terra, when she gets up close and personal, also just does not stop sticking on you, right? So that's a really dangerous comp as well. Both teams don't want to go for picks. Now FaZe being locked in long-range routes with that hero and banning away the Sevarog and the Kira to pick themselves the Grim as well.
I really like this FaZe and Grim combination. It's not the first time either one of us has seen it. You do have that ability shield in order to eat up a little bit of CC, and if there's a follow-up, whether that's damage or CC for a setup, you are also going to have that FaZe who's going to be able to pull you out of trouble. And in order to maybe increase that engage potential a little bit more, we're going to see the Gwang actually gets picked up with that tether. We know if you find yourself out of position, you could find yourself back at the fountain.
I think that Kwang is probably going to go into the hands of Conte. Does like his AP bruiser junglers a bit more than those AD1s from what we've seen so far. That would mean that Terra would make it to the offlane, but now for the US, really dangerous Gadget being locked in. 5th pick still open, and with that Colosseum Gadget combination, microwave into that sort of arena is a really good recipe to just cook the entire enemy team.
Yeah, man, that microwave comp being locked in at this point means the damage is going to be borderline radioactive into the late game. We can see a very generalized comp here coming out of the Team USA, playing very much so front to back. You have a solid engage. You have something to lock people down into that microwave. But even more than that, some of your damage is going to be significantly safer and going to have a lot more sustain with this phase pickup. While on the other side, you have a lot of things that can set up a kill. And between Murdoch and that long arm of the law and some of the just damage potential coming out of Argus, you have some really key pieces that can make sure you get those kills if they're about to slip away. And with that being said, gamers, we are going to be making our way into it. It's Italy versus the USA within the casting booth. It's me, your boy Ego, always rocking with you, but never rocking alone. You know him by more than his name. It's Hang coming in with me, brother. How are you doing?
Yeah, bro, this is gonna be a banger, bro. Like, after that interview, I'm 100% hyped, and I think Italy is as well, already running in as a 5-man, looking for any stranglers from the Team USA.
Naturally, we're going to see Italy getting a little bit saucy here within the interim. Sub 1 minute, and they are going to already be looking to see if they can pick up a pick here. Leading the charge, it is going to be Conte, but with that space being played off the back end, it is going to be Sneaks, who sees them coming, but still gets eviscerated, and that is the strength of that Decker pick showing itself off early.
And that's why we said that is a pick comp. That is a Decker stun into the Argus stun into just good night. Gray screen. That's first blood over to Italy already 1 minute in. And it's the offlaner, the Saris, the Sneaks that actually Math was talking about in the interview. Keep him on a short leash, but maybe the leash was just a tiny bit too long after all, at least at the beginning of this sort of game. Now 1 minute 26, minions just spawning, but Italy already in the lead.
They have already struck first, and they struck hard. My biggest question is why even poke? You know they have a lot of CC that they're going to be looking to stack onto you, and they're not going to be missing any of these autos, any abilities, any key damage they can utilize to get that kill locked down. Nonetheless, the past is in the past, and these guys are going to have to play into the future, into this early game, and into this heavy CC composition.
Definitely. So I think for Cure, especially on that dual lane, it's going to be a bit of a struggle. Capo walking in, Fjosten as well, already blink forced. Fjosten with those Deckers boys on point so far. Capo is pretty low though. Jungler is still on the left-hand side. Could be making a rotation over for Math, but so far just it's all Italy so far.
It's all Italy with the pressure in the dual lane, in the jungler, getting a pick and nearly getting a secondary one. Right now, Kira is going to be grateful for that little bit of healing Z he will be able to provide during this laning phase, as he's not going to have to immediately make his way out of the lane. But taking a look at the map, we do know Rampage is waiting in the wing. So if they do play black close to that tier 1 tower, we could see the jungler making his presence known, as Mav is going to be looking to maybe pick up a little bit more of that farm before making his appearance.
Yeah, so Mav was trying to get something potentially on the left-hand side, but there was still a good ward in the river, so he only got the D wards, did not get anything on that dual lane. It could be one of those lanes he wants to gank. Now mid lane, Seismic dodging out on that stun from Dark Doodoo, and Conte might be walking in a bad place.
Yeah, drop it down into that river camp. I would not advise, as they are going to be using the Highlander Rush in order to create some space for themselves. But on the back end, it is going to be Math looking for a little bit more. Nonetheless, Conte is going to find his way out.
Uncharacteristic overstep there by Conte, dropping into the river with no vision anywhere close by. Gadget and Rampage able to chunk him out enough to force that blink. Means the Terra ganks are going to be a lot less terrorizing with that 5 minute cooldown down. Also gives a bit of sort of breathing room to Cure on the left hand side. Means that he can play a bit more safer even with his blink being blown.
All things being considered, like you said, Conte was a little bit terrified there as that drop down cost him a lot. He's going to be forced to just retreat into his jungle and alleviate any pressure that may have been applied into that mid lane. And in the interim, during this time, we may be seeing Mav start getting a little bit more active, knowing that he has been able to counter Conte on one of those systematic early ganks.
Definitely is. And with that rampage, like he also gets a lot of farm, right? And then once he ticks over to the level 6, that is where his ganks are gonna be even stronger. For the Terra, not so much. Like her team fighting is gonna be pretty strong, but the ganks remain the same. So I think for Mav, he did a full clear, cleared his red, cleared his blue. He's gonna reset, head over towards that duo side again, clear his red side, and then potentially look for Capo, look for Fjords, and you can always chain that phase beam together with a rampage rock, and with the damage coming out of Grim, you can always hope to get a sneaky pick that way.
It becomes a lot more than a hope if this team is going to be able to line it up. But you do know Italy, very skilled players have something to say about it. First, you got to land the boulder, and your face has to be alive to be able to help you get that string, that chain of lockdown CC in order to possibly guarantee yourself a kill. Nonetheless, I do anticipate we are going to see it be a little bit quiet here on the battlefield until we start seeing these teams begin grouping up around some of the objectives. However, though, Conte may be looking to prove me wrong as he's going to be lurking within the mid lane. It is going to be the Dark Dodo looking to maybe translate just a bit of damage onto Sai, playing off of the backside. It is going to be Sai, though, who's going to be able to laissez-faire back up to the tier 1.
Should be safe for the moment. Conte wasting so much time here. It's going to go in.
It is going to be immediately stopped, though, as the root is going to go through, playing the space off to the back end, though. It is going to be Mav looking for the violence, and he will find it. The Island Hurl is going to be able to stop him, but only temporarily, as he is going to continue the hot pursuit on to Conte. It is going to be Mav getting the kill, but it may not be free, but it ultimately is, as FaZe lands and gets the pull.
And this mid lane is not a 1v1 whatsoever. It's a tri-lane, 6 members on the mid lane permanently. Supports don't really worry about the dual lane whatsoever because it's mid where the action is happening. Both Fjorsen and Sihi permanently looking towards the mid lane. Sihi spent, I think, 2 minutes straight there just making sure that Seismic is safe. Also gives a bit of solo XP over to the Grim as the phase. You don't necessarily need the XP too much anyways. So honestly, for Sihi, really, really well played. Saved the rampage and also secured the kill on the Terror that still did not have the blink up.
Couldn't agree with you anymore, man. Understanding the assignment, see, he was as now it has going to be a new task for Gato, and that is going to be survive in the face of the Grim. His fate looks a little bit so, but with backup coming up on the wings, it is going to be a reset as Zihi is going to reset the carry.
So it's going to be Capo taking a bit of damage. Mav is close by, but with Daka providing the vision, does not manage to actually get into the vision pocket, does not manage to get a good gank off Capo also. Still having that blink up, did box against Cure quite well before, even in the 1 versus 2. Now dual lane Conte is close by Sihi.
It's going to be the Highland Hurl that does land in order to get the root, but playing the space onto the back end, it is going to be Zihi who does catch some of the aggression now, utilizing both of this dual lane's blinks. They're going to reset underneath the tower while it is going to be Rampage looking to reset the enemy team. There's going to be a push of damage, but the flip has switched and the damage is on, but it's not going to be quite enough until the long arm of the law is going to look to get a trade, what ultimately will be a 1-to-1 in the dual lane.
And so many blinks burned right there. 3 blinks in total. Capo still has to worry, and Daka jumps away from the ultimate instead of blocking it for her. Murdoch just leaves him out to dry, and Capo does go down. Q selects another one.
Dude, we are seeing these guys start to get in a little bit of a rhythm, finding their element here as it is going to be a push-up that initially started that engage within the dual lane. In response, we saw Mav always looking for the fight, engage onto 3, getting bursted low, but not before being able to lock down a kill. As we said before in the draft, that long arm of the law, that Argus as well, both very able to lock down a kill when you think you may be safe, as Conte is going to be looking to lock down the space into mid lane. Sai is all but going to be dead here as he uses the blink at the last second to get away from Conte, who is now going to be rotating to that Fangtooth pit.
Very indecisive there by Conta. Not using the ultimate instantly, not using the blink instantly. So in the end, he has to suffer, seize the gadget escape with a good speed gate blink combination, granting him the safety now in the mid lane. Dark Dodo needs to be worried. Mav is there. It's gonna stun him out of the rock animation. Should be able to make it back into the turret range, but Conta is there.
On the bottom, it is going to be a fight around the river. The ult now being deployed out of Maz is only going to be able to extend his life. Maybe. See, he can save it, though. The stun coming out of Argus is going to be good, but the damage is not going to be good enough to get a lockdown kill here, as now both teams are going to be looking for a disengage and a possible reset.
So neither team really strong enough to start up the Fangtooth quite yet, but I think for Italy, at least they have the advantage on the right-hand side that we didn't really get too much time to talk about quite yet. Neither one did get a kill in that lane, but Sneaks did fall at that level 1, putting him inherently a tiny bit behind the Kwang that did at least manage to get an assist of that. So I think slowly but surely Kwang using that counter matchup to build a bit of a lead towards that. Saras gets a tempo advantage, and with this one, Ego, we can already see him group towards that Fangtooth.
They're starting to make their way towards that objective, and as we predicted earlier on, we're going to see a lot of fights and see what these teams are made out of around these pits, as now the damage rate does begin in between the Grim as well as the Murdoch. It is going to be a good plasma ball to get a solid knockback while within the jungle and around the river. It is going to be also very low HP on Poseidon till he is lowered even further into the ground. He is going to go as he is going to be returned to Found, playing the space off the back end. It is going to be Matt backing him up, see he, but with Saros now getting into the mix, the Coliseum is going to be dropped in alongside it. It's going to be the Kwang who goes down in another one-to-one trade, but only for a moment, as it is going to be Argus making Mav gone. He's a goner, and Capo maybe as well, as it is going to be him, though, getting the kill onto the Cure. He's absolutely sick, as we're going to see a 2-to-3 trade that goes in favor, at least for Team USA, but Sneaks, not so sneaky, has something to say about it, as Dark is going to get this. That is going to be ultimately 4 members down and a kill lead still in favor of Team USA.
Dude, Ego, I can remember just 2 minutes ago, I was saying this Sneaks guy got killed at level 1 and no kills so far happening. And suddenly Sneaks 5-1 carries the fight for his team. Good Colosseum, good lockdown, but might be overstaying a tiny bit. Kwang already looking, see he is going to get caught. It's going to get one shot by the Kwang in a second. See, buying a bit of time with that face beam, managing to at least manage to make the Saras escape by enough time. But is that good enough? Because the Fangtooth has already been started by Italy and they can't trade it for the mini prime because Rampage still in his red side.
Rampage is going to be present, but for what? At this point, it feels like you don't really have a chance to steal, but chance is still present, at least for a moment. That's going to be a Mav looking to make a play now, looking for a way out, as Cure is going to rotate over. The damage is going to be solid, but the reprioritization is going to be over to him, but not before we see Decker get dashed. That is going to be a kill that swings in their favor as the rest of the chivalry starts to arrive. The cavalry is here, but sadly, Grim will not be, as he is going to get bursted down by the Argus. We are going to see a kill trade happening around the pit, 1-3, currently favoring Team USA. You ultimately do get the objective, but what is the cost of the answer is going to be nearly everything as everyone falls.
And that is just so unfortunate. The Murdoch disconnects that in the middle of the Fangtooth take. That's why he just looks funny at the Rampage while he just walks into the pit. With that Murdoch not having disconnected, that fight could have gone completely different. But all in all, I think, considering it was a 4 versus 5, giving up 4 team members for that Fangtooth, it's not the best trade. They did get 2 more kills out of it as well, though, so Ego. So I don't think it's necessarily the worst, especially considering sort of the disadvantage they had going into the fight with Murdoch disconnecting. Did reconnect at this point. So Capo, I hope his internet is doing well, because that Murdoch is going to have to do a lot this game. Showing through that Rampage, showing through that Saras. They really need the damage coming out of the dual lane.
I have to agree with you there, man. Tang, Capo, I hope that internet is stable, because the lead that Italy had earlier definitely is not. USA is looking for a fight on every single avenue, and even though they did lose that objective, ultimately, I do feel like they have a lot of momentum. A lot of these fights, a lot of these picks, they have been looking for, much like Waldo. They found them, as we're going to see them just start walking down the dual lane. And it's going to be Furiosan as well as Capo. We're going to be forced to play back while within the solo lane. It's going to be Quang looking to back up to his tower until Conte makes the rotation. Argus as well with the Dread Nova is going to be able to set them up for some solid CC, playing the space onto the back. And Zaris is going to be relegated to the death screen. He was thirsty for the kill, so ultimately he found himself at a fountain, and Mav may share the same fate as he is so very low, and Argus will be the one to secure the kill. The Highland Hero once again is going to land and lock down the CC on the side, who uses the blink in order to get away. Nonetheless, kill lead still in favor of Team USA despite a decisive strike into that solo lane.
Yeah, still in the kill lead, but it's also thanks to Cure and Sihi just going demon mode on the left-hand side, getting a double kill for themselves. Conte wants to answer. Seismic is gonna get stunned up, is gonna get locked down. Ultimate use, but to no avail. Conte walks in, gets a kill. Quang gets the kill credit.
That was absolutely devastating. We could see their Gadget thinking they were a bit safer, but Conte, very much so, the patient one, is going to be waiting in the wings of the moment we see Sai overextend. He is going to get put down, and now using some of that advantage, knowing that the team is going to be on the other side of the map, we are going to see Team USA starting to make a play for this mini prime, which they are going to take uncontested.
Yeah, so that mini prime is gonna get secured onto Sneaks, the offlaner, the Saris, wanting to use that to split push, open up the map, get those tier 1 turrets. But Ego, we've had so much action in this game. We are almost at two kills per minute. Let's say 1.5 to make it a bit more honest. But I think with so much action going on everywhere, the teams have not really been focused on getting those objectives. So that mini prime at 15 minutes is not gonna respawn before that big prime spawns. So that is something we have to keep in mind as well, as the offlane Sneaks with that mini prime has to watch out.
Oh man, the tether coming out. This blast flower is likely not going to be enough to reset this fight, as now Sneaks is just basically going to be biding his time. This kill almost feels certain, but with the movement he has, he is going to be able to create some space before the tether creates an opportunity for Italy to lock down a kill, which they do underneath the tier 1.
And that's exactly what you don't want to see, as the mini prime team getting rid of it. Now on that dual lane though, it's Capo in a bad spot. It's going to get collected by Mav, and Furiosan can't just watch, has to run away. Seismic and Mav still in the vicinity, chasing him away. Fangtooth spawn is going to be up in about 20 seconds. That's something that we can definitely see. USA wants to fight for all 4 of their alive members are in the vicinity. Furiosan has a vision of them, but they're just going to start it up instantly.
And Mav is going to start a quick fight before utilizing that bit of jungle utility to be able to close the space in the blast power. Nonetheless, this is going to be a full-looking fight, as I'm going to see Conte Furiosan leading up the rotation, looking to possibly get eyes on the pit. Mav has that bouldered, readied up, as now Conte finds himself in a brief 2v1 situation onto the backline. You can feel the tension. It's very much so palpable, but both of these teams are very much so ready to fight. Sai, though, caught out onto the back end by Conte, is going to be forced to deploy the Tesla Dome. But without the setup of their team, the damage is going to be negligible comparatively, but may be enough to get a kill here, as Sneaks is going to get let off the leash only briefly, though, before FaZe pulls him back in, and much to the detriment coming out of Team USA, as they are in a very precarious position, maybe looking to change, as Mav is going to be going in for the engage. Sneaks is going to be able to go in and get the kill onto Conte, but not before he gets traded onto the backside, coming out of Capo onto the Cure. It is going to be capitalized on, as we are going to see a 3-for-3 trade, and all things are even as both teams look for the disengage.
All things are even in the kill department, but it is still USA running away with that Fangtooth, because while Seismic was getting caught in the right side jungle, he's like, that is all part of the plan. I would give my life 100% to get that Fangtooth, the second Fangtooth of the game, the first one of their own. And with that one, Ego, it's gonna mean that the Italy win condition of just stacking those 3 easy Fangtooth to take is gonna be thwarted by the US.
Warded indeed. Now, technically in the lead with that mini prime, it is going to be Sneaks once again, let off the leash, and he is a dog barking down Kwong from behind as he is going to retreat and reset. Neither one of their tier ones down quite yet, but Conte may go down here if we do see they have anything to say about it. See here inside, just translating a little bit of damage, are now going to be joining up with Sneaks over into the lane.
So with the mini prime being taken off the Saras before means that they couldn't take it. So now they're overloading that side, but Cure also feels it on the other side. It's gonna get boxed out by Capo and Fiosa, not able to win that 1 versus 2 outplay in the mid lane. Conte also walking the mid lane, but Rampage is gonna walk in.
Yeah, we do see does get stifled a little bit by the crystal combination with the Dread Nova. Nonetheless, the boulder is going to land on the rotation into the jungle. It is going to be both teams very much so prepared for this fight, but the numbers favor is going to be in favor of Team USA. It is going to be the Coliseum now getting deployed off of the back end. Conte, it's an unstoppable force indeed as he's going to force the pullout coming out of phase. It is going to now be the long arm of the law that does get deployed, but that is not going to be what gets the kill. It is going to be Fiorza on the Decker as underneath the tier 1 tower. The Highland Herald lands. The root is good. The damage is better. That is going to be Team USA with 3 members down as Italy gets saucy on them underneath the tier 1.
And the Decker ball doesn't connect, but doesn't matter. No, of course not. We have the Argus, we have the Kwang, we have lockdown for days, and Cure is going to feel it in the mid lane as well. It's going to get tethered by the Kwang tether, but manages to use the blink to disengage. Capo not able to get the kill onto Seismic as well, but Gadget and Grim both having to use that 5 minutes cooldown to get away while the tier 2 was being sieged. Is gonna bite them in those next team fights.
So many things were utilized there, but all of the value did go in favor of Italy. Now reclaiming that kill lead over Team USA, and at this instance, at least, things are even on those objective boards. If we're going to be looking at the Fangtooth, it's about 21 minutes into this game. It does feel like this could be anyone's match. Both of these teams are feeling the ebb and flow, and I cannot wait to see a proper 5-on-5. We've been seeing a lot of picks gameplay as now Sneaks looked to capitalize on it. As we said, call it a caster curse, but Conte is going to be the one who catches some of the burst off the back, and those Sneaks off the engage is going to have to break up the arrangement. It's going to be a pullback coming out of phase as now over the top end. It is going to be Mav looking to get a team, looking to get a kill for Team USA, and they do, and it's going to be doubled up. The damage is not going to be enough to get a return one, as it is going to be a flawless 2-0 going in favor of Team USA, who reclaim the kill lead in their favor.
I was about to say, Igor, it's like, okay, we did see that mini prime, the first one being claimed late, so there's nothing to fight for right now because neither team is strong enough to start the big prime, but getting those 3 kills in that red side jungle suddenly means that the US is gonna start it up 21 minutes in. Math pretty low, so is Sneaks on that Saras, but it's still Terra being so far away. Seismic playing zone control.
Conte looking to close the space here. Man, he does have that stacked up of the Pats, maybe looking for a possible route here in order to set himself up for victory. This could end up being a coin flip, but with Mav going down, it is now easily going to be in Smite going in favor of Conte. The tables have flipped, and now the damage, like the switch, is going to be turned on. It's not just going to be 1, that's not going to be 2, but possibly 3 members that are going to go down, as it's going to be the Dread Nova to help assist and get the lockdown kill onto the Cure. That's going to be 3 members down for Team USA, and now make it 4 as Argus is going to off screen the Gadget.
And what did we say, Igor? We said those blinks are gonna bite them in the behind, and suddenly we get the team fights, and they don't have those escape mechanisms anymore. Cure in the front line, boxing the best he can. See, he trying to pull him away, but you can't be pulled away from all 5 members collapsing. Italy take a decisive win, get the big prime as well, and now they're looking to shove down the right-hand side while Conte is getting that Fangtooth on his own, uncontested. Second Fangtooth movement speed is gonna go in Italy's hands.
100% there, man. And right there, we saw that, as you said, was decisive. They saw that they were on the objective, and they saw an opportunity. And like the best teams do, they took it. That long arm of the law in combination with some of that poke damage we knew was inherently built into this Italy draft was enough to get that kill onto Mav, who was trying his best to play the space away. And now Team USA is in a position where they are going to have to play nearly perfectly on the defense.
At least for the next 2 minutes, while that big prime is on, minions are gonna get pushed, buffed up while they shove in those waves. But so far, it doesn't really look like Italy wants to use that advantage in their favor. Are just gonna keep those waves neutral, are gonna get some items, but they're wasting important time, Ego, because the longer they wait, the earlier this big prime buff is gonna despawn.
Yeah, man, and I'm going to be honest, I'm a little bit confused out of what we're seeing out of Team Italy here. We saw them make a decisive play just now, but now they're indecisively not taking advantage of it until Zaris gets seen and gets bursted down. The long arm of the law is going to be just barely offline, though, so that is going to be some utility damage that does get deployed onto Sneaks, but to not much avail. Nonetheless, take a look at that map state. It is going to be a lot of pressure getting shoved down that mid and a little bit more into that solo lane, as this tier 2 is most definitely just going to fall.
Just from the way Italy's playing, I don't think they want to go for those inhibs, but hold my words, they are still looking mid lane. But Kwang on the left-hand side is going to look for the tier 2, but Q looks for his early grave. Capo de Capri is going to secure that one.
Dude, just take your hands off the keyboard. You get hit with one piece of C, it's dummy thick out of nowhere because there's another 3 pieces of C coming right after you. They're going to go for this inhib now because the damage, the refrigerator with the blicky is going to be down. And as such, a couple members may follow Z. He only has one pulling right now. Italy is looking like some smooth criminals because they walked into the mid lane and took everything they wanted. It looked like slow play until, as quick as you can blink, members were gone, and one of the prime structures, that middle inhib, also disappeared.
And smart of them to back off now. I think the prime is going to despawn now. I don't think they have it anymore. So the next wave would go in without the prime buff, and with the gadget there, it's just going to get cleared instantly. So they recognize it. They're going to channel those recoils. They have a lot of money in their pockets. We can see it right here. Like even Fjost in the support, 1.2k. Dark Dodo, 1.4k. 4 items deep, about to finish half of his items for his 5th one. And Conte on that Terror, securing that steal onto the big prime. I think that was, Ego, the big sort of swing that Italy was hoping for.
You know, back in the day when I was still a developing Conte fan, I used to call him the fastest smite in the West, despite him coming from the East. But right there wouldn't have made sense because there was nothing for him to outpace. The opposition just wasn't present, wasn't there. It was a disappearing act, and the magicians never revealed their tricks. Easily able to get that buff and then instantaneously start the slow movement into capitalizing on it. We saw Zaris get burst down. We saw Conte took the lead, and now we're seeing Team USA having to play from behind with all the momentum, most definitely being in Italy's hands, as Conte is going to be getting a push-up and leading his team possibly to victory if Team USA doesn't stop him.
So it was Sihi going down there, blink forced by Mav. On the upside, at least on the left-hand side, we see Q split pushing. Somebody is going to have to answer that one. Tier 2 is still going to go down to Cure on that Grim. Hopefully, the win condition for Italy, for USA, of course, excuse me. Hopefully, with Cure getting a few more items in, he's just going to be able to chow through the front line of Conte and of the Kwang, and hopefully that will be enough to win those few next team fights, because they are gonna be huge. Securing that Primal Fang Tooth, securing that prime buff at almost 30 minutes in the game is usually very lethal for the opposite team.
And we did in draft say that this was very much so a front-to-back team composition. You have some really solid pills, some reset, some damage. I mean, the microwave, Tangap, we've seen it get deployed one time, and the benefit, the value was there, but it just hasn't happened. We've seen some engages with Mav, but Grim isn't present. We've seen Grim looking and having to respond to the 1v2, but none of his tanks or even his support have been around in a lot of those instances. I want to see Team USA here maybe get back to playing that fully front to back. Let Mav and Zaris both go in, get your value out of the ultis that you have this team built around, and maybe, just maybe, you can steal back some of the momentum from Italy.
Oh, that's so smart of the US right now. They're instantly going to the Fangtooth. They want to trade it. Prime being started up by Italy, but little do they know it's just their bait after all. Fjorsen, the only one in the vicinity of the Primal Fang, is just going to have to watch as Primal Fang is going to go down any second now. Big Prime has been claimed, but should just be free for the US to disengage now. And Ego, with that Primal Fang, with that Primordial Blaze on all 5 of their members, their team fighting is just gonna be insane. So, as you were saying, like, I really hope for them to just walk as a 5. That way they can't be picked off by one of those hard CCs that Italy have drafted for themselves. But if the Saras can get a good cage in, a good microwave combination, that is just gonna be GG, especially with that Primal Flame providing all the true damage.
Naturally, getting that primordial blaze, as you said, does put Italy back into the hot seat. At least if they do find a fight here, we can already see on the map a grouping of the team, mostly with the exception of Seismic, starting to hover around that green side buff, maybe looking for a fight or for a pick, but it is going to be picked up on the other side of the map on a ward that Terra, as well as the rest of Italy, aware of the damage capabilities of this comp, are just going to be looking to play it safe. It is now going to be USA who's going to have to take back some of that advantage and some of that pressure, as Italy is looking to just hold up and wait out this buff.
Definitely, Italy hiding behind their tier 2s, Quang on the right-hand side. All 5 members of US are going to push down the mid lane.
Maybe just a soft defense here coming out of Italy, right? Just eat up a little bit of that time on the Primal Blaze, get some of the clear, and we can see very aware they're going to be playing super far back. They don't want to deal with any small damage trades coming out of Seismic on this gadget, or a possible setup coming out of a boulder on the Rampage. They just want to eat up this Primordial Blaze and force them to use their utility to take this tier 2 and ultimately not the inhibitor. And honestly, they're doing a great job of it here now, starting to back up, seeing that that wave is in. It goes from a soft defense into a harder one around this inhib. Now we have to see what Team USA is made of. Mav is going to be playing close here to the phase. It is going to be a Dreadnought that does get deployed to stifle any aggression, and it's now just going to be a retreat and a disengage coming out of Team USA.
They just have to run away. They don't have what it takes to push down that inhib line quite yet. I'm gonna try to take away a few of those camps, but red buff is gonna be secured by Conte in a second. Capo actually almost picks it up. No, Conte does. Now Seismic Math, they need to be a bit careful. They're Cure on the left-hand side. They have to watch out for those waves as well. And Conte instantly wants to pounce. Still looking for somebody. Seismic in the mid lane might be a bit far out.
Island Hurl is going to land, but it is not going to be in power, so there will be no stun. Instead, it is going to be a complete reset. And I'm going to be real with you. Credit where credit is 100% due. Italy is just playing very smart MOBA positioning right now. They just waited out the enemy team's damage potential and buff and mitigated a lot of the value they could have got from it. And now the counter attack, emphasis on attack, is coming out as Conte is going to be able to help burst down Seismic to about that 50% HP threshold, and then just slowly and meticulously help his team once again take this middle inhib. He's oh so very tanky, but it is going to be an oh so very well positioned ulti coming out. Now the microwave combo is going to go through, but the value coming out of it may be dissipated, as it is going to be a blink for blink in exchange. Mav now finds himself all alone in what is going to be a 1v3, and with enough of his team able to help him, it looks like they may just be buying time. FaZe, though, with the hefty pullback, is not only going to be able to lock down the kill, but save the life of Mav and prevent him from being killed. They're not done, though. They're feeling hot, and of course, where there's heat, there's fire. Where there's fire, there's smoke, because Team USA is looking for it as they burn through the HP of 4 members. Ultimately, it is going to be Decker who has to carry the legacy in the tail of Italy as USA surges back.
4-1, a decisive teamfight victory coming out from the US. And the question now is, Ego, what can they get for it? Mid inhib of their own was down. Now we see 3 of their members pushing down the mid lane. Only Fjorsen, only the Decker there to defend. And you gotta think that that is just not enough, especially with another wave crashing in a second. Now Capo de Capi back on. So is gonna be Conte in a second. So with that mid inhib claimed by the US, they are gonna have to back off. No objectives were up at that time. So honestly, for Italy, they get away with a wound, not a lethal lethal one, though, because those two objectives are still going to be fought for.
No, it's just a little bit of a pop back. Right now, it very much so feels like a boxing match. We're seeing both of these teams are capable of being patient, but right there, we got to see a nice jab come through for Team USA, and FaZe getting to show why she's a very viable pick, especially into some of these compositions. Rampage was basically dead to right there for an instant before getting the pullback, the bit of healing that he needed to be able to look for the re-engage, and he found it off the back end of that boulder, and ultimately all of those small decisions led to them taking a big objective, and that's going to be the middle inhibitor.
And we can see why the professors in the US do ban the FaZe all the time against Zihi. Now, Math is going to phase check into Kwang. Both objectives are up. Fangtooth is being hovered around by all members of the US and A. They do have a ward onto Prime, and they're just going to start it. A lot of objective damage with that gadget, and that Grim are going to be on top of the objective. Are Italy going to be able to go there in time?
It's just so late, man. With the Dreadnought being deployed, it does make it closer, but not nearly close enough. Their HP is low, but if they're able to sustain and get a good setup, possibly off of a Coliseum, a Tesla Dome, they're going to be able to get some solid burst damage, but it is going to be minimized as an unstoppable force that's known as Conte is going to be getting the engage off the back end. The long arm of the law extends, and it grabs Sneaks as he is going to be dragged back to Fountain. This team was thirsty for an objective, so Italy sent him back to the Fountain. Fiorson is going to be able to get the kill and complete the RGSAs for Italy.
5 deaths, 50 seconds death time. A Dark Dodo instantly walking towards the mid lane, cancelling the reset from the Decker. It's gonna walk the mid lane as well. They have a few more seconds. Are they gonna be able to look for the end? No buffs on top of the Argus, no buffs on top of the Decker, so it's really gonna be hard to shove down the core, especially with health bars being so low.
20 seconds, a lot of time, but I gotta be honest, Decker and Argus aren't the ones I'm wanting to see on the siege, but with the minions starting to spawn back up and the core being brought to that 50% threshold, it's gonna be a reprioritization. Let's get the minions in, and will it be enough? 5 seconds on the clock before they come back. Rampage is now back in play. Zarus is now gonna make an appearance, but Italy is gonna make it happen as they bring through the win.
And it's unbelievable. They just have it in the nick of the time. 1 HP, 1 dream, and it all comes together for Italy, winning against USA, the 3rd seed, beating the 1st seed. Granted, it was on ping, but honestly, that Prime dance around that mid lane when it was USA with the advantage with that primal Fangtooth, and they bought so much time, Ego, that they were able to wait it out and win sort of the longer engage in the end.
And that's the risk of going for that, especially so early, and especially when you know you're going to be walking over wards to get to it. They got bursted down, and with their HP being around that 50, 60, 70% threshold, we were going to see Italy just get what was given to them. And when I say given, I mean literally given. You guys are going to take the Primal Blaze. Yes, we agree to these terms. You know you're going to do a lot of damage, but you're not going to have too much HP. We have to damage you through. And as such, Italy picked up not 1, not 2, but a full RGS ace in crunch time to be able to solidify the march from the support in the mid laner to end the game. Italy made the right call when they needed to, and they got the dub for it.
They definitely did. I think very well deserved as well. Like, obviously, USA played super well themselves, but Italy this time just abusing USA in those objective fights, always able to come back in moments where we did not expect it. You highlighted it at the end, that primal fight, but also before on that Prime sort of starting the comeback after it looked a bit iffy there towards the mid game for Italy. But I think with this one, Ego, I think we are just going to call it a day. If you like what you